and welcome to the Building Sociology Poddy, where we talk about better buildings to live and breathe in. My name is Jess Kismet and I am your host. Today, we are joined by Mitch Chan. Mitch is the founder and managing director of Agathe Builders, serving Sydney's North Shore and Northern Beaches. The learning for Mitch did not stop once he got his builder's license, as it does for so many. Despite there being no mandatory professional development for builders and trades, Mitch has gone after so much knowledge, innovations, and the networks to make himself the best builder he can be. From building biology to healthy materials to passive house, Mitch is on a mission to ensure that his business delivers a measurable standard of health and performance in every home he touches. Welcome to the show, Mitch.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So, the name of your business got me a little bit intrigued. Where does it come from and why did you choose it?
Yeah, so it's a ancient Greek biblical word. So in the Bible, at the start, it says like God created the earth and then he said it was good. And so it's the word for good. And so the word good, it means both like morally good as well as quality good. So that's what we're trying to implement throughout all of our standards, is that we want to have like good people in the business, where you feel comfortable and safe having our staff around. But then we also produce a good outcome, a good product. So that's where it comes from.
Did that come through family influence for you? Like,
No.
when you were thinking of, because it's hard to think of a business name, right?
Yeah.
So where did that, like, what was the inspiration?
Yeah. So when I started with a carpentry business, and that was called Kingdom Creations. And it was just based off, I liked the idea of kingdom building, and then that was already taken by someone I know. And then so I was just like, oh, I'll just change it slightly. I made it Kingdom Creations. And then I was never really stoked. I was like, I wanted it to have more thought, more meaning behind it. Um, and then so when I eventually turned into a building company, it was opportunity to change it. So, and at that time as well, like I transitioned to a company because one, we were changing from just carpentry to building, and then two, because I was bringing on a business partner.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're going into a company, and then so we were both like, we really want this to mean something, not just be my initials or like it's just something really simple. So I wanted some depth behind it. So we're both Christians. Like we've been our been friends for a long time, and then like our friendship was kind of formed through going to church together. Um, so that's all where it came from.
That's really cool. That's really cool. That's something a little bit different. I like it. So take us back. You decided to do a carpentry apprenticeship. What got you to where you are now?
I actually didn't start out. So I went to a private school, and then, there's doing a trade's not even really on the radar. It's not even talked about at all. So I was just thinking, what degree am I going to do when I finish school? Didn't like the look of anything. Um, I kind of felt like I either wanted to be a cop or I wanted to teach design and tech. Um, and I went into uni first studying uh, design and tech, like teaching. And then it just started with all these like arts history subjects that I found terrible. And I was like, this is just not for me. So I was like, I'm out of here. And then,
You don't teach the kids at school that either. Like I did woodwork at school. We don't learn about history
yeah,
and
I think it's
art.
just because it's art subjects. So like
What a waffle.
it's just some of the filler subjects, that first year things. But I was like, okay, well, design teaching didn't work, so I'll try. I didn't want to be a cop straight away at like 18, so I was like, I'll study something to do with that, and then when I'm finished, I'll be a bit older and I'll go and like join the police, and then, so I studied criminology, um, and then got to the end of that and was like, yeah, this just studying things not for me at all. So I left and at the time I was living with now my business partner, we were living together, in a share house, and he was doing carpentry. Um, and yeah, he would just whinge about the things he was doing, like just laboring and stuff like that. And then I was like, that sounds amazing. Like I was whinging about writing stupid essays and stuff. And then yeah, so I just thought I'd give that a go, and then absolutely loved it. Like my first day, I was just sitting in the mud, like cleaning trowels after a concrete pour, but I was frothing like I was having the best day ever. Yeah, and yeah, so it kind of kicked off from there, and it's ironic because then my mate, he once he finished his carpentry apprenticeship, he went to uni and studied philosophy. So we just like
Wow,
swapped
you
back and
switched.
forth. Yeah, yeah, and then he came back
Is
again.
he but he's your business partner now, so he's back on the
Yeah.
tools? You
Yeah,
guys must have
yeah,
some
he
really interesting conversations
yeah, yeah, he found out that
about
that doesn't really pay
religion,
very well, so he
philosophy,
had to
building.
yeah, that's it. Good thing we're pretty aligned, so it's not like there's a
Yeah.
lot of, arguing.
Oh, that's really interesting. The things you find out about people. Um, so what kind of work do you specialize in at Agathe?
Yeah, we're very young and we're still evolving and learning, and, like, over the last year, I've learnt so much, and, so I find it hard to say, like, I specialize in this area because. For me, that sounds like, you're an expert, you specialize in this. So like I would say that we sp- we would really love to one day say we specialize in passive house, and
Mhm,
yeah, that's the goal, to eventually be just, we'll only build passive house. But um yeah, so at the moment we build healthy, and I know it's a buzzword and people hate it, but high performing homes.
mhm.
So it's a, um, a focus on, like, energy efficiency, a home that's really going to look after and add value to your life rather than being something that makes you sick.
That's a good goal to have. So, you are currently studying the advanced diploma in building biology, same as me. That's awesome. So, why did you think? I mean, like as I said in the intro, you've done so much study. You've done Zara Dakota's healthy building materials course. You've done the live life build stuff. You have done. Did you do the passive house trades course? And now you're doing advanced diploma in building biology. So, I mean, you say study's not for you, but clearly you love to learn. um, why did you think that doing this advanced diploma was going to be an important career move for you? And sort of what was the moment? Like, what was the motivation behind that?
Started all this stuff only in the last year, and it was actually partly because of you. Like I've been listening to your podcast, and just going, okay, like started learning about this stuff, becoming like obsessed with it, and then just thinking, how do I learn more? And then I think you mentioned it a couple times in the podcast, and I was like, oh, I'll look that up. And then yeah, so I found it and was like, yeah, this sounds pretty good. It's just like the next area that I can learn in. It all kind of started probably, yeah, like this time last year. Got a mate that did the Zara Dakota's course, and he was like, oh, check it out. So I was like, oh, okay. And then just started looking into it. I decided to do the course, was curious.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and so that was pretty interesting. Um, And then I also had just it was early days into Live Life Build as well. And so Dwayne is, on about the healthy home kind of stuff. So it all started to pique my interest.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then yeah, got to the end of Healthy Homes, the Healthy Home Materials Mastermind, and yeah, just kind of had my eyes opened to it. And it's like when people in this area all say the same thing, and I understand now. It's kind of like you go down this rabbit hole, and once you start learning about this stuff, you can't unlearn it. Like morally, it's like I can't go and put a sarking wrapper on a building now, knowing the potential effects it could have. Um, so yeah, it just keeps shaping, and I'm like, what's even worse is that, the building code lets you do these things.
Mm.
So once you learn about this stuff, I'm like, oh, like if I just keep building to the building code, I potentially could have some really bad problems that now I might be liable for as well. So I'm not going to get help from the building code of how to build better. Um, these are the other places I've learnt how to build better. And then, yeah, after I finished the Zara Dakota's course, I was like, what's next? And yeah, I thought, oh, I'd really like to learn Passive House. And then I signed up to that. And then as I was getting towards the end of that, I was like, well, what's next? And I heard about building biology. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And not sure what's going to be after this one.
A lot can change in a year. Like you say, you've
Yeah.
only been doing this for a year, but I know building companies who have completely turned around, and in a year, in a year's period. So, you know,
Yeah, I'm
it's
very grateful that I've come across this stuff early in the business, because I could imagine, like, being 10, 20 years into it and then learning, and then just, I don't know, it'd feel very scary thinking about all the stuff that, like, I think about some bathrooms that I've renoed back in the early days, and I'm like, oh, I really wish I did a flood test back then. Like, um, yeah, but I'm grateful that the information's out there, that it's pretty readily accessible now. So um, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I think that sort of fear that you're talking about is very real, and it affects people who've been in the industry for a long time, because if they start to look at this stuff, it means they have to admit that perhaps they didn't do it right before, and that can be a very difficult thing. Or not right, they were doing it, in accordance with the building code. It's not wrong. It's just, when you realize that there's better ways to do things, sometimes that can be tricky for people who have been doing it a certain way for a long time.
Mm.
There's like mental blockers there. Um, I come across them, reasonably regularly as clients bring their projects to me and they say, oh, but my builder isn't on board or such and such. And those conversations can be quite sort of like stunted.
Yeah, and then the thing as well, like, it's not like a lot of this stuff. If you do it the old way, it's not like you're guaranteed to have problems. It's just that your chances are
Mm.
much higher. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you could have been fortunately getting away with it, not having any problems for a long time. But yeah, your chances are very, very high. So there's enough risk in it that I'd like to be able to mitigate as much as I can.
absolutely. And I think being a builder is it's a pretty risky career choice. Like the risk that you guys take on is high. So if I were you, I'd be wanting to reduce that as much as possible as well.
Yeah, and no one ever thinks about that risk when you start. Like, you learn
No,
about that risk when you're already doing it.
when it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too late to go back. Um, so as you're going down this whole learning about better building path, airtightness is bound to have come up. Everyone talks about airtightness. It's the underpinning element of any high performing or better performing home. Uh, it's now in the building code in a very loose, sort of non-mandatory kind of way. So the conversation is starting, and it's just wondering, as you learn about it, how are you starting to incorporate this into your building practice with your clients?
Mm. That's so funny how that's, like, regulated, because, like, I've been hearing about it, podcasts and just here and there. Um, and then we finished a job, and going for our, uh, final certificates and everything. And then, the certifier wanted you to say, yes, the building is airtight, but it was like that was it. To what condition, like what level of air changes or anything. It wasn't any not specific. They just said, "Oh, is it airtight?" And you're like, "Yes, I built it to airtightness." But it's very vague and like, what does that mean? Like, no one's ever educated us on what that actually means. Um, but yeah, your original question, what's your thoughts around it, I think?
So you actually got asked by a certifier, is this building airtight?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
I
It
haven't
was the
heard of
first time I
actually, I
saw it as
haven't,
well.
yeah, I haven't heard of anyone actually checking. So
And
cool.
it was an extension as well. So it's like, well, my part's probably is pretty good, but the rest of the house is
Eh,
definitely not. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Although maybe it was a bit on the DA was a granny flat and our extension, and the OC was all together. We didn't do the granny flat, but I think there was a lot of like crossover. So maybe it was just meant to be relating to the granny flat, but I don't know. It was very, very confusing.
So it was a verbal conversation, or you had to like, was it an email or
No, as part of the like,
for my own?
there's a checklist from the certifier, and it was one of
Yeah,
the
right.
items. Yeah, that I had to
Is
tick
this
off and say,
airtight?
yeah. But it's like, yeah, it's
Kind of a
hard to
question.
what
How
standard?
long is a piece of
Like,
string?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. So how are you incorporating all of that into your discussions with your clients, or are you? Have you started that yet?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's um, something that I'm just still learning more and more about. I do like to bring it up as
Mm,
much as possible. Um, the uh, Yeah, I think it's very helpful if you can get a designer that or the client's already aware of it and they're driving and then it's like I can go, yeah, like, I agree with this and I understand it and I'm happy to build to this standard because that's what we like anyway. Um, I mean, we build to that anyway. Like there's a lot of things that uh the client's choices in the end, like, 'cause they'll cost more, but as a non-negotiable, like, we use vapor permeable wraps and we tape everything up and do all our windows properly because it's insurance for me anyway, like making the building
yep,
watertight.
yep.
So yeah. But how far you go with it, like if you're actually gonna do a blower door test and measure it um
Have you done one
and
yet?
no, I haven't. I'm very, very keen to. I'm
You should.
actually tempted
They're
to
fun.
do one, like, just pay for one on our build at the moment because, um, just out of curiosity, just to see
Yeah,
how well
you should.
we're building to, yeah.
Yep.
Um,
When I find all of the clients that I've worked with that just start out, that's how they normally do it. They cop the
mm,
cost because then they can't sell it to their client if they don't really understand what it all is and how to achieve it and what it all means. So they normally just pay it out of their own pocket and as like a learning expense, like a education expense.
mm, yeah, I'm thinking about doing put my, project manager to the test as well.
Exactly. um, so the Live Life Build community is quite strong. I know a number of builders who've gone through it, and they promote the PAC, the PAC process, the paid as a consultant process, which I really like. So that means that a builder is brought on board with a project with the architect and the client early. So the builder is paid as a consultant in the design phase. So, how do you think that this protects the goals of the project, especially when budget starts to get squeezed?
Yeah, well, budget is, like, everyone's biggest concern. Like, in our inquiry form, one of my questions is, "What's your biggest concern around doing a renovation, extension, or a new build?" And it's like all the time it's budget, budget blowout, budget, budget, um, which is fair enough because it is something that is very, very hard or like almost impossible to get like 100% right. The more experience you have, the better at it you get. Um, and also, like builders are myself included, so uneducated on how to get it right without like a pre-construction process like the pack process. It
Hmm.
is it is like, I reckon it's impossible to get it right. And yeah, there's no like standard of education around it. Like, you go and do your Cert 4 and you just have to do 2 years experience on site and then you're a builder. Like, there's no real education on how to um, price a job,
Mm.
um, and just how to do a whole pre-construction process. Like, before I found Live Life Build, I didn't even I didn't even know what um, a preliminary contract was. I didn't even know that that was a thing. I thought you just, you figure out a quote and then you go for it. Like, um, yeah. So it's vital for getting the price as accurate as possible. Um, and then that just means that in the end, your client's budget is protected because, um, yeah, without doing the proper like investigation and planning, there's just bound to be things that get missed. And then once they get missed, to fix them up during construction is always much more expensive than if you had just planned for it. It might be like, um, getting doing your soil testing right and testing where your piers are actually going to go, finding out how deep your piers are going to have to be, as opposed to if the engineer the geotech just goes there and just tests anywhere random and then, hits a floater or something and says, oh, yeah, the piers are going to be a meter deep. And then on the day you find out they're 3 meters deep. And then now you've got a variation for, like whole heap of extra
That's not
concrete.
good.
Now they have to be like reinforced and more excavation. And yeah, um, if you could have planned for that and then knowing that where the budget's going to be is much better than just popping big variations later. And then like no builder as well likes to give out variations. Like it's hard to maintain a good relationship with any client if you're just constantly giving out variations. So yeah, good planning is very important. What do they say? Like failing to plan is planning to fail. That's yeah,
Preparation prevents piss poor performance. How about that one?
that's it. That one, yeah, that one too. Yeah.
It's time for a quick sponsor shout out. Today's episode of the Building Sciology Poddy is proudly brought to you by our amazing sponsors, Enduro Builders and Climasure. A huge thank you to these incredible businesses for supporting the podcast and helping us spread the word about better buildings to live and breathe in. Your support makes this podcast possible. Please head over to their websites and follow their social pages. Have you ever had an issue with an architect or a designer where you've looked at their plans and gone, you can't build that? Like where you can tell they haven't had any construction input?
Yeah, well, I've had a client that decided to be the architect,
Fun.
and the plans were looked like they were drawn on Microsoft Paint. So it's very early days, and we just need the work, and we're like, oh, we'll figure it out, and we figured it out, but it was a very expensive exercise for me.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You live, you learn,
Um,
right?
yeah, yeah. That happens most of the time for us, but I think that's just because we're still very young and developing relationships with architects. So right now, most of the time, we're meeting them for the first time, and so how they prepare drawings and everything might be a little bit different for us. So we generally have to ask for more details. Um,
Yeah.
just like incorporating a cavity batten system. That's a pretty typical one. Like it's not a standard part of building practice, so we always have to add that in. Uh,
So you add that in. So
yeah,
is that something that you have to go back? Because sometimes depending on like Hebel's a good one. Like that always stumps people because like there's a rebate with Hebel and and like Hebel won't allow you to like I think there's a warranty issue where you can't add a counter batten or something like that. I'm getting feedback from some people about that. So there's certain details that, and especially people's use on an upper story that can kind of throw a bit of a spanner in the works. So is that something that you and the architect or designer work together to sort out, or do you just do it?
That's very interesting because we literally just at the moment looking at a job where they really want to do Hebel. Um, and so, yeah, we're trying to figure that detail out. And ideally, now we've learnt more about it. Now it's like, yeah, let's figure it out during pre-construction with the architects so we can detail it up and we can figure it out because then that helps us to actually price it accurately. Um, but previously, when it's like, oh, I've already started these projects and then we learn about this extra stuff, we've just had to then just incorporate it. Um, yeah, I mean, for one project that we literally, I started learning about this stuff, and we were just up to wrapping the building. I was like, "Oh, I've just learned about this whole system, and this is why it's so good. I think we should really do this." And then they were convinced and understood and said, "Yep." So like they were happy to pay a variation for it. Um, Yeah, so it's a bit of both, but ideally, really, we just do it in planning, and that's what we do now. Now that we've learnt about it,
Hmm.
yeah,
So this is an example of where, because back in the day, I used to work in the building code like compliance space, and I sort of started to get a bit frustrated because what was designed and assessed and built could sort of be three different things. Um, and this is similar, but in a good way. So you're actually improving the building on site using your knowledge instead of cutting corners, which is what I was finding, or blatantly changing glazing sizes without checking if that was going to affect the heating and cooling, and you know
yeah, and that's exactly
that's
why,
cool.
yeah, that's why I've like continued to want to learn because there's so many times when we're looking at a detail and we're going, oh, like I think you should do it like this, but I want to actually know rather than just being like podcast qualified. That's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it kept me
Hey,
going on
the
this like
podcasting and Instagram world is like that. There should be like degrees based on Instagram, what you learn on
They should.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like, I've learned so much, and I mean, I'm just in the car so much driving around site to site and stuff like that, so it's such a good opportunity for me to learn. Um, yeah, so I'm so grateful for you, for all the guys out there and girls that are putting out these podcasts and, yeah, so good.
Yeah, it's good fun. So, you've also done, as we have already mentioned, Zara Dakota's Healthy Materials Mastermind. I've done that course as well. I did it when it was like a couple of 3 years ago now, when she just started. She's done a lot of work to evolve and improve that course since then. It was good when I did it as well. Um, so you are definitely someone who has invested in your learning. And from that study, have you identified any materials or systems that you just won't use anymore?
Um, I don't know if I would say specifically from that course, but that course, like, I think that's where I first started to learn about vapor permeability. And um, so maybe you could contribute it to that course, but like now we just won't use the traditional sarking on a building, which is like the wrap on your building because it's not vapor permeable. It won't like release vapor, moisture. And then being a aluminium, it's like a cold surface that will create a dew point condensation. So it's very bad.
Hmm.
um, so like that's something we just, it's not a option for clients. It's just built into our pricing. It's one of the reasons why we're
Yep.
often more expensive, but we
Not
just,
negotiable on that one.
yeah.
Yep.
Um, and then the course really just opened my eyes to things that I hadn't heard of before, like VOCs and um,
Hmm.
just being aware of how uh, heaps of manufactured materials are quite toxic and like will off gas. Um, and, it's either these materials, like they're good, they make building cheaper because it's more efficient and it's easier to produce rather than something natural, but that comes at a cost. So it's like you either pay out of your back pocket or you pay with your health. for me, at the end of the day, it's not really my choice to make for a client. So I think my job is just to educate people, because like I had no idea before I learnt about it, and then
Yeah.
give them the option, and that everyone's got a budget, so they got to choose where they want to spend their money.
Yeah, it's just totally about an informed choice. Like, as you say, lots of clients that come to you will have no idea what a VOC is either. They don't know what vapor permeability is. They don't know what a blower door test is. But once they know, same as you, they can start to Google and listen to Instagram and podcasts and go down this very same rabbit hole. And once you're both on the same page, that's when you can start to really like align and get the right outcomes from an informed place.
Mm.
We were talking before, off air, about a client project that you had where you actually convinced the client to build better. Please tell us about that story.
Yeah, so this we're building a new house, and the client was very sold on a steel frame, and at the time I had no idea. This was before I started learning about building better and everything, and I wasn't that convinced just from being a carpenter. I don't like to work with steel. I like to work with timber. Um, so I pushed back a bit, but she was like, no, no, I've seen all these houses in the area just eaten alive by termites. Like, I have to have a steel frame. So we were like, all right, like, we really wanted the job. I'm sure it can't be that hard. We'll do it. And then as we've gone along, yeah, we've had some problems with the steel frame, but it's not the end of the world. It's fine enough to work with. But then I started learning about uh, thermal bridging, and um, yeah, and just moisture and everything. And then I started learning how yeah, these steel studs are a thermal bridge. So if you've got, if it's really hot outside and you've got aircon inside, sure, in between the studs you're insulated, but where your studs are, someone said it's, like if you've got a bucket of water with holes in it, the water's just going to flow through those holes. So like the studs are just like pathways for your temperature your heat to be going through. And then if you've got hot day outside, cold aircon pumping inside, you're going to just create a condensation point, and then you're going to start getting, and then yeah, I mean, we'll have our vapor permeable wrap, so that's all right, but
Hmm.
um, you're still going to cause problems. Like, what happens when there's moisture build up on the back of the gyprock, and then that's
Hmm.
just going to create a perfect spot for mold to form. um, yeah, so the only what I learnt was the only way to stop that is to basically make a thermal break. So where that bridge is, prevent it from those two temperatures from being able to come together. And uh, yeah, so I suggested to the client that we should do some sort of thermal break there. One option would be like foam insulation, so like an XPS foam all the way around, which would be the more cost effective. I wasn't that keen on that option because from an environmental, from a health perspective, it's not that great. Um, and the client agreed as well. She said that, like, oh yes, and sorry, sometimes I accidentally do a bit of an accent because she's French, so it just comes up naturally. Um,
That just happens naturally.
yeah. Um, Yeah, she was like, "Yeah, I don't want it, like, I heard it's, super flammable as well. I don't want this flammable
Very, yeah.
product wrapping my building." So then I had also just learnt about, wood fiber insulation, and I heard that it was very expensive, and it was, but she was like, "Yep, no, like, I think it's very important, and I just want to get the structure of the building right, and then all the finishes and things can come later. If I run out of money, I'll save up." And yeah. So she's been like a dream client in that way, like valuing the things that we value. Um, and yeah, so now we're learning new lessons about wood fiber insulation, and some troubles with installing it. But overall, it's been a really great product to work with. Um, yeah.
That's incredible that you actually managed to convince your client, and it doesn't sound like it was too difficult, that she should externally insulate her steel frame. Like, that's you did a good thing. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
it's good. Well, I
you
mean, it's I don't know, it's almost selfish because now I know now I'm much more confident. Like I would hate for yeah, if I hadn't learnt this stuff, then who knows? 10 years down the track, she might have a very moldy building, and and also just it perform terribly, especially when she's trying to make it as high performing as possible. So it's like she is energy conscious, and yeah, we just would not have delivered on that at all. Uh,
but she's European, she's French, so that
yeah,
actually makes sense. That's actually not a that's not a that's not a well, what am I trying to not a non-thing. Like, that's a
uh,
thing. She's from Europe, understands that because a lot of people who come to Australia from overseas, whether it's the US or, you know, somewhere where it's, really cold in Europe, they all come here and they're like, like the housing here is I've never been so cold and I come from the snow.
yeah,
Like, so like recognize the difference in thermal comfort and quality from their hometown to Australia. That's a common thing. So yeah, that's a really cool story. So that project is still going?
yes, we are just getting it wrapped now. So we've the roof's on, and we've almost finished putting the wood fiber on the walls. Um, yeah,
So what's that wall detail look like?
yeah. So this is one of those ones where it's like actually, I wish we had detailed it before because now we've just had to come up with it ourselves. Which I'm like, I would like an engineer or someone, but like, yeah, to actually detail this, I guess it would be like a passive house consultant. I did. I've got a couple of passive house architects that I talked to, and I ran it through with them and
Yep.
kind of figured out the detail. But basically, we got our steel stud, um, and then we've got our wood fiber, 60 mil wood fiber, um, and then a WRB on top. That was a bit of a I don't know. Everyone was telling me that just put they were like, the wood fiber will be watertight and, it's hygroscopic, so it can handle water.
Mhm.
But I was like, well, like if we can put the WRB on the outside, why not? Is there a disadvantage to that? So yeah, anyway, we just we did put it on the top of the wood fiber. I was like, may as well make it a bit more waterproof. Why not? And then our cavity batten, um, and then our counter batten for our cladding. So it's
Mhm.
going to end up being, quite a thick wall for Australian standards anyway.
Yep. So there was no issues with space there. You could just add that wood fiber. How thick is it?
The wood fiber, 60 mil.
Okay. And wood, like, obviously this lady went for steel over timber because of termites. Wood fiber, talk to me about termites and wood fiber.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like I looked into it a little bit. I didn't get real clear answers, but
Mhm.
what I did get was that because um, it's wrapped and you got your termite protection underneath anyway, then it's all fine. It's all sealed
Not
off.
in contact with the ground or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, it was fine, but I was curious on like, you know, say they were able to get to it somehow, how do they react to the wood fiber itself?
Mhm.
Um, and I didn't get I didn't get an answer on that. So
Yeah. So just a little fun fact about steel, it is 384 times more thermally conductive than timber.
there you go.
384. So if you are building with steel, you're building with a temperature superhighway. So if it's
Uh,
cold outside or if it's hot outside, yes, there's cladding and there's plasterboard, but you are still building with a highly thermally conductive material. So externally insulating it is definitely the best way to protect your air conditioning bill and your condensation risk, depending on your climate and where you are. So yeah, another good example of how you have made a building better, Mitch. Well
Good.
done. If you could change one thing in the Australian building code right now to ensure that our homes are healthier to live and breathe in, what would that be?
I reckon, I mean, it's kind of already happening, but I would make the vapor permeable membrane and a cavity batten or cavity ventilation system mandatory. I mean, you said one thing, but I would also make air tightness and mechanical ventilation just a standard.
Yeah. I mean, just you do those two things. Like, it sounds complicated, but it's not once you know how to do it. Those two things would make a huge difference to the lived experience and health of the buildings that we live in Australia. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I feel like it should be a standard. It shouldn't be like a question, oh, should we add this in? Like it just should just be a standard part of building and bring some more competition into the market and try and get prices down. Yeah, on mechanical ventilation, that is.
Yeah. Yeah, especially the ventilated cavity system, because that, like, protecting your building from like the good WRV behind the cladding, and then the ventilated and drain cavity system, like cladding. Then it's a big mistake that people make, thinking that the cladding is the water barrier. Like, that's
Mm,
not the water barrier. It will
mm,
leak at some point over the life of the building, and you need a second layer of defense behind that cladding. So the vented and drained cavity is the easiest, cheapest, simplest way to increase the durability of any timber framed, steel frame building. It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we're up to the last question that I ask everybody. Out of everything that you've learned or experienced in your career, what is the one thing that you want people to know?
for
Because
my
you've done a lot of
very
learning in the last year or so.
yeah, my very long career that I've had, um, I would say that mold is worse than you think, and prevention is far cheaper than a cure.
Yep, I would agree with that. Mold is something that you don't expect, I think. When you build a house or buy a house, it's not something that you go into it expecting to find.
Mm,
Like, you build a house and, people who they'll engage a builder, and they'll I had a conversation with somebody once, and not long ago, and they just said, well, I just thought that all builders kind of knew the same stuff and they all knew the code and they're all the same. And that is not the case at all. There are people like yourself who have gone far above and beyond just the basic trade and Cert 4 to become a builder. Not basic, like the mandatory steps you have to take. And that makes a massive difference. Just the fact that you came across thermal bridging while building a steel framed home, like, it makes a huge difference to the outcomes once you start to go above and beyond those mandatory minimums.
yeah,
So
I reckon.
mold prevention is something that the standard builder doesn't think about when they're building.
Yeah, for sure. I reckon back to your question of if you could change one thing as well, maybe I would
Mhm.
change um, when you when you sign up or when you finish your Cert 4, you get free access to the building code. I was going to say you get handed like a copy of the building code, but it's because it's always changing. So you get free access to like the building code, make it as simple and easy to memorize and access as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the building code is free now, but the Australian standards aren't. So I would say that all of that should just be put into like one resource and made free for all builders.
Mm, yeah,
For sure.
yeah. And your thing about uh, all builders build different and stuff like that. Like my um my parents did a first floor edition maybe 5 years ago, and done by like a really good old school builder, been around for a long time. I think it was actually like his last job and then he retired. But like, it looks amazing, really good quality. Um, but then, and just built to like the standard way. And yeah, so it's been like 5 years, and then they've got this quite a large mold spot in the ceiling. Um, And so I had to cut it all out and try and find out where it was coming from. And then I figured out what it was at that area, there's a chimney coming through. And then there's a metal roof, and they've done what's standard. It's quite a flat roof, and they've turned up the inside, flashing over the top. Um, Pretty standard. And it's got
Mm-hmm.
like the anti-con blanket underneath. And what I think has happened is it's facing south too. So with big southerlies, and if it's like a storm, the wind's just coming up, it's getting past that upturn and then dripping down. And then once there was a bit of moisture in there, it causing mold. But if there was a proper WRB system in there, it was all taped up and sealed, then that moisture that gets in would have just dried
Drains
out, and
away.
it would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like, that builder, he just did what he was taught to do, and
Mm-hmm.
great builder, but it's just not that. It's like a very old school building standard that's currently still our standard, and yeah, just isn't good enough.
Yep.
So yeah,
It's not durable enough in all circumstances.
yeah,
Yeah, that WRB system with the roof membrane and the wall membrane, I just call it a giant flashing. It's like flashing your entire house
Hmm.
and making sure that water can drain away, because buildings don't like water.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Mitch. I hope that the listener has been inspired to go and do some more study based on your example and learn a
Yeah.
few more things. It's been great to talk to you. Thanks for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Too easy. See ya.
See you guys.
That is all for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. There will be another episode in a fortnight, so if you would like to listen into the types of conversations that I have all the time, please subscribe on your chosen platform. Rate the show, leave a comment, whatever you like, share with your friends and family. I'd love for you to spread the word about the Building Stylology Potty. There's a link in the episode description where you can head to a landing page, and there are some show notes there with relevant links and a full transcript of the show as well, and also links to my socials. So if you're not already, I'd love for you to follow along there too, as I share lots of building science and building biology tips. Thanks again. I'll be back in 2 weeks, so until then, happy healthy building.